Hello students, today we will learn transport in plants. But before we learn the transport of substances in plants, we should know the meaning of the term tissue. A tissue is a group of similar cells which work together to perform a particular function. Those tissues which transport water, mineral and food to different parts of a plant are called vascular tissues. There are two types of vascular tissues in a plant, xylem and phloem. The tissue which carries water and minerals from the roots to the leaves of a plant is called xylem. On the other hand, the tissues which carries food from the leaves to other parts of the plant is called phloem. All the parts of a plant like roots, stems, branches and leaves contain vascular tissue called xylem and phloem. The xylem and phloem tissues are a kind of tubes made of tubular cells arranged end to end. The xylem tissue is made of dead xylem cells, whereas phloem tissue is made of living phloem cells arranged one over the other. Keeping these points in mind, we will now describe the transport system in plants. Like animals, plants also need a transport system to carry water and dissolved minerals absorbed by the roots up to the leaves and to carry the food made in the leaves to all the parts of the plant including roots. The vascular tissue called xylem carries water and minerals dissolved in it from the roots upwards through the stem and branches up to the leaves. Look at the figure 13. The xylem tissue forms a continuous network of vessels or channels that connect the roots to the leaves through the stem and branches and thus transport water and dissolved minerals to the leaves of the entire plant. The water rises from the root upwards in a plant as follows. Listen carefully. In a plant, water evaporates continuously from the leaves through the pores called stomata. This process is called transpiration. We all know. The continuous evaporation of water from the leaves, that is by the process of transpiration, produces a suction force which pulls the water from roots upward through the stem and branches up to the leaves. Dear students, the suction force produced in xylem vessels by transpiration in plants is similar to the one which we produce while drinking Coca-Cola or Pepsi from a bottle with a straw. Understand? Thus, transpiration generates a suction force which pulls up water absorbed by the roots from the soil to reach the leaves through the stem and branches. So, in this way, water and minerals are transported in the plants. Now, let's discuss the transportation of food in plants. The vascular tissue called phloem carries the food from the leaves to all the other parts of the plant including roots. Look at the figure 13 again. We see the phloem tissue forms a network of vessels or channels that connect the leaves to all the parts of the plant including roots and thus transports food to the entire plant. As we all know that the food which is produced by the process of photosynthesis is glucose, so the glucose is transported within the plant in the form of solution called glucose solution. The force needed to push the dissolved food, that is glucose solution in phloem vessels, is generated by the living phloem cells present in phloem tissue of the plant. That means in this case the force is produced by the phloem tissues only. Some of the cells of the phloem tissue only. Dear students, please note that the rate of transpiration increases in moving air and when the temperature is very hot. And we all know what is stomata. isn't it? We have read in the chapter 1, nutrition in plants, isn't it? Stomata, they help in exchange of gases, that is carbon dioxide gas enters in and oxygen gas goes out through stomata during photosynthesis, and water vapor passes out through stomata during transpiration. Let us now discuss in detail how water reaches from soil to xylem vessels in roots. First, let us discuss how the movement of water takes place from soil to root hair. Look at the figure 14. We see that the roots have large number of root hair, isn't it? And the root hair are in contact with the water present between the soil particles. Water from the soil enters the root through root hair. The large number of fine root hair increase the surface area of the root in contact with the soil water, due to which more water can be absorbed by the root at a rapid rate. After that, what happens? How the movement of water from the root hair goes to xylem vessel in root. Again, look at the figure 14. We see that the root hair are on the outer surface of the root. Xylem vessel is in the center of the root, and there are many cells of the root in between the root hair and xylem vessel. Have you noticed, children? Okay. Now, water absorbed by the root hair from the soil moves from cell to cell in the root and ultimately enters the xylem vessel, which is located in the center of the root. Have you noticed in the figure 14? Okay. Once the water reaches the xylem vessel of root, it moves upwards and goes into interconnected xylem vessel of stem, branches and leaves of the plant. From the above discussion, we conclude that water containing dissolved minerals from the soil enters the plant through its root hair. From root hair, water moves from cell to cell in the root till it reaches xylem vessel in the center of the root. And then from the xylem vessel in root, water moves upward to the xylem vessels in stem, branches and leaves.